Hi, my name is Kate,
Hi, my name's Grace.
and this is our inquiry project. So we wanted to research if tornadoes are shifting from the original Tornado Alley into Dixie Alley. I was interested in this topic because I've always loved meteorology as a kid. Like, tornadic events were super cool for me to experience, or I've actually never experienced, but like research and to learn about. And now it seems like they're getting a little bit closer to home and affecting more people that I know that live in the South, so we were really interested in this topic.
I was interested in this topic because of the recent studies that have been made about Tornado Alley and changing its pathway. Within the past couple of years, this has been changing a lot, and I was started to be more interested because of my geographical location. In my hometown, the Tornado Alley seems to be moving closer to where I live, and I feel like it's a good information to have.
All right, so our essential question is, since 1950, has tornadic activity primarily shifted from Tornado Alley into Dixie Alley? And then supporting questions that we used to help find the answer to this question was, what and where is Tornado Alley and Dixie Alley? Is tornadic activity actually shifting, and what weather patterns are leading to this shift? So for this project, we researched all of that. I did a lot of the primary research, and then Grace did the CAPS part of it, and we collaborated together to bring our research and the CAPS together and plug it all into this template to support our claims. Again, for that research, we used a lot of different perspectives, especially from meteorologists, scientists, FEMA, and storm chasers. Since this is a new and pressing issue, there's not really a lot of sources on it like there would be from a historical event, especially since, this is ongoing and it's kind of a more recent issue. So it was really hard to get perspective from citizens and doctors and such. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about our CAPS document, and I will pull that up.
This is a separate document that we submitted on Blackboard. And so, like Kate said, that we have four major ideas and questions, and this is just explaining those different ones and all the sources that we have to go along with it. It gives a lot of information into each of the sources, and just it was interesting to read, and I enjoyed doing this to learn more about the Tornado Alley and how it's shifting between the Dixie Alley and yeah.
So we used, I believe, 14 sources. Mm-hmm. So we used 15 sources, and we had them sectioned into the 5 sections based on our supporting questions. And so you can look at this for further information if you're interested. Each one goes into the context, the audience, the perspective, the purpose, and significance of the source. So we used Microsoft OneDrive or Office to store all of our information and data and organize it into those files. For this data, we used meteorological and scientific interviews to support our research. We also used secondary sources, like a lot of news station articles, again, because this is a newer topic and there's not a lot of published research-based information on this. So we did use a lot of interviews and a lot of, we had to use some personal opinion things just to help support our ideas from scientists and meteorologists. And then this was our organizational map, which basically organized our compelling question and broke it down into those research questions to help support. And we plugged in all of our data, what we found, into very simple terms, and then applied the research knowledge of it into our CAPS document and a little bit further down when we talk about our support. So here we have, our perspectives and an example of each perspective. So this was really helpful for helping to sort out our data and getting the points that we wanted to across.
And so since I did a lot of the sources, Kate and I came together to do the similarities and the differences in the content, and we used charts from the NOAA to compare the amount and strength of tornadoes in the 60s and compared it to the same map produced in 2011. So all of our sources were different content-wise, but they all provide the same claim.
Mm-hmm. Our claim was that the southeastern portion of the United States, otherwise known as the Dixie Alley, is more likely to have frequent and violent tornadoes than Tornado Alley. While Tornado Alley may still be a place where tornadoes are occurring, the most prominent tornado outbreaks are currently occurring in Dixie Alley. They are more violent, they are more long-tracked, and they occur more frequently. And this could be caused by several factors, including urban sprawl, climate change, and warming oceans. Although we will see later that scientists have actually not agreed on an official cause. Again, this is a new pressing issue that is needing lots more research, which is part of the reason why we were so interested. So back to those maps that Grace was talking about, we use this as part of our evidence. So here we see, this is 1955, we see lots of tornado outbreaks in Tornado Alley, which is right here in the plains. This area and this time also did not have the research and the technology that we have now. So researchers also wonder if there were as many tornado outbreaks as there are today, but they just weren't getting recorded because of a lack of technology to simply record it. And then here's the map in 2011. Now we see outbreaks in Tornado Alley, but we see a lot more down here, and we also see those tracks, those long tracks, along with the ranking, which further goes to prove our claim that tornadoes are way more frequent and prominent in this area. Another map that we found, along with a quote, it says, "We found a notable decrease in both the total number of tornadoes and days with tornadoes in traditional alley in the Central Plains. At the same time, we found an increase in tornado numbers in what's been dubbed as Tornado Alley," supported by this map by NOAA. Down here we see the dark purples, talking about the number of tornado days per year, which is obviously way higher than that of the plains. And we have a quote from a storm chaser who's also a meteorologist. He says that we don't want to tell people in Oklahoma and Texas that they don't need to worry about it. It's shifting. What we really want to highlight is the increasing threat from tornadoes, greater frequency, greater number, happening in the Mid-South, where we know people are already extremely vulnerable due to socioeconomic issues. So this is an issue that they're wanting to press so that people who are in those areas are more aware, since Tornado Alley has been typically dubbed as the Plains, Central America, and not so much the southeastern portion of the United States.
So we're going to break it down here to identify the significant effects on the history and the economics and civics and government. And we're going to include some sources and some connections to each area. So in history, tornado outbreaks used to not be so common across the South. And from what we've been reading, it also could be because of the technology, because of our technology was not as good, obviously, that we saw in the map of 1955. But so our source says, when you compare the total number of people killed by tornadoes from 2000 to 2019 with the previous 20 years, many states in the Southwest saw significant increases. Many of the deaths can be attributed to major outbreaks.
For economics, with these more violent, more long-tracked, more deadly tornadoes, they're costing a lot more. Since 1997, tornadoes in Dixie Alley have caused more than $600 million in property damage, compared to $470 million in Tornado Alley. So that's a huge difference in numbers, and it's affecting our American economy.
Civics, people have the right to know about the weather and what's going to come. So over the course of time, tornado warning systems have gotten better and better, but are still a work in progress. People are getting their warnings from multiple different sources, giving them the best chance for survival. In one of our sources, it says television was the most commonly cited source of warning, which was 89%, followed by telephone call, which is 37%, sirens was 37%, and the radio, AM and FM, were 25%. 55% people received the warning from more than one source. Nearly one half, 40% of the residents, fled their homes before the tornado struck.
So we know that with our advancing technology, people are getting more warnings. Of course, those numbers are not anywhere where we need them to be or where we want them to be, but they are getting better, and that is the public right to be able to know, what's coming your way. That's something that has been a work in progress for years and will still continue to be. The last thing that we're talking about is government, and so governors are allowed to declare states of emergency for their state when there are disasters. I thought this was pretty cool. So since 2000, there have been 33 declared disasters in different states by governors. And those are 33 tornado disasters since 2000, let me clarify. Of those 33 declared tornadic disasters, 15 of those have been in Dixie Alley, and only 4 of those touched down in the original Tornado Alley. So wrapping up, the TPS Teachers Network, this will be posted to that. Our essential question, we went over that. We went over our sources. We talked about how we brought all of our data together that was from all sorts of different forms and different sources. We compared our maps. We showed our claim that the southeastern portion of the United States, otherwise known as Dixie Alley, is more likely to have frequent and violent tornadoes than Tornado Alley. We showed our evidence again through those maps and those quotes. Let's talk a little bit about the viewpoints, and we'll get to wrapping up here. So our viewpoints is right here. So our first viewpoint was from the perspective of FEMA. I actually did this one. So FEMA, basically I will go ahead and say all of these perspectives believe that Tornado Alley is shifting into the southeast and that people need to be aware and start building accountability to take action and protect themselves. Same thing with storm chasers. They believe that, the south and the southeast is not ready for this, and that we need to be getting the word out. Meteorologists believe that this is happening and that they can honestly occur anywhere east of the continental divide. So we're still, trying to understand their thoughts and research behind that. And then the last one is from a scientist, again, who believes that Tornado Alley is shifting but cannot find a direct link as to why. So timeline, we talked about there is no timeline because this is an ongoing issue. It's still developing. And then the significance and implications of this, tornado outbreaks are occurring more frequently and more violently than ever before in the southeastern United States. We talked about how these tornadoes are more costly and deadly because of urban sprawl, heavy population in the south. This is a serious issue because not a lot of people are aware of this and are stuck in the mindset that they can only occur in the Great Plains. And then finally, these are just our answers to these questions, talking about how the inquiry process was not just something, a time waste or anything. This was something that we practiced to be able to teach our future students how to do research and how to
use multiple different sources.
Use different sources and how to be able to create questions and claims to things that may be hard to answer. So, is there anything else you want to add?
Pretty interesting topic.
Yep. So that is our inquiry project, and we will have our sources uploaded with this video as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.